Iran is a much different country than it was when I became president. Iran, when I became president, I had a meeting at the Pentagon with lots of generals. They were like from a movie, better looking than Tom Cruise and stronger. And I had more generals than I've ever seen. And we were at the bottom of this incredible room. I said, this is the greatest room I've ever seen. I saw more computer boards than I think that they make today. And every part of the Middle East and other places that was under attack because of Iran. And I said to myself, wow. I mean, you look at Yemen, you look at Syria, you look at every place. Saudi Arabia was under siege. They were all, I mean, they wanted Yemen because of the long border with Saudi Arabia. That's why they're there, frankly. But every place was under siege. And I actually asked a question, how do you stop these people? They're all over the place. They had plenty of money. President Obama had just given them $150 billion. He just gave them $1.8 billion in cash. I'm still trying to figure that one out, Mick. Gave them $1.8 billion in cash, plane loads of cash. I mean cash from 5 different countries. You know why from 5 different countries, Jeff? Because we didn't have enough cash in the tri-state area to give them $1.8 billion. So they had to use the currency of other countries. That's the real reason. So with all of that being said, I did something called terminate the horrible Iran nuclear deal, which, by the way, in 8 years gives Iran the legal right to have nuclear weapons, okay? I did it. Iran is no longer the same country. Iran is pulling people out of Syria. They can do what they want there, frankly, but they're pulling people out. They're pulling people out of Yemen. Iran wants to survive now. Iran was a power in the Middle East. They were going to take over the whole Middle East. They were going to take over that was what they wanted to do, and destroy Israel while they're at it. Iran is a much different country right now. They're having riots every week in every city, bigger than they've ever had before. Their currency is under siege, thanks to us. A lot of bad things are happening. When we do all of the things that we've done monetarily to Iran, Iran is in trouble. And you know what? I'd love to negotiate with Iran. They're not ready yet, I don't think. But they will be. But Iran is a much different country right now, Jeff, than it was when I took over. When I took over 2 years ago, Iran was going to take over the Middle East and who knows when, and they were going to have all the nuclear weapons they wanted in a very short period of time because of that stupid deal. When I terminated that deal and then did what I had to do, Iran is a much different country today than it was 19 months ago. That I can tell you.
You say that on the timetable for withdrawing troops. Do you think it's?
I think it's just over a period of time. But we're withdrawing, but we're hitting them. We're hitting them very hard. When I met with the generals in Iraq, I said to a couple of the generals, I said, "Why didn't you do this before?" He said, "Sir, our commanders were telling us what to do." I said, "Well, don't you tell them?" "No, sir. We take orders," and they do. You know, they're great soldiers. They listen. I do it differently. I sat around, and after a few minutes, they loosened up, and they said, this is what we should do. But we were supposed to be out of Syria many years ago. If you remember, we went to Syria for some spot hits, and that was 5 years ago, and we never left. I don't want to be in Syria. I go to Walter Reed Hospital, and I see soldiers that are so badly injured and hurt. I don't want that. I don't want it. And I want to rebuild our country. And I want to spend money on our military without depleting it every day. I want to spend money on our country. And that's what's happening. And our military is getting really strong. I mean, I could tell you stories when I first got here about our military that I don't even want to talk about. I don't even want to talk about. And one of the things I've told the secretary and other people, we do these reports on our military. Some IG goes over there, who mostly appointed by President Obama, but we'll have ours too. And he goes over there, and they do a report on every single thing that's happening, and they release it to the public. What kind of stuff is this? We're fighting wars, and they're doing reports and releasing it to the public. Now, the public means the enemy. The enemy reads those reports. They study every line of it. Those reports should be private reports. Let them do a report. But they should be private reports and be locked up, and if a member of Congress wants to see it, he can go in and read it. But for these reports, criticizing every single thing, and even in some cases saying good, perhaps, but for these reports to be to give it out, essentially, forget about the given out to the enemy.